I've turned 27 on my birthday today, and with this show being part of my new intro that I've made last month, I have to say that me considering on reviewing this show is obviously inevitable, but when it comes to this episode in particular and how the show itself is 5 years old, all I can think of is Nickelodeon, despite still having talent here and there, have experience on making great cartoons, but at the same time, they're just basically treating the cartoons as if it's just basically cartoons in general, which it's no surprise. And with this being a half a decade old, it's really difficult to give this show a chance, despite the fact that I really wanted to give this show a chance. And with today being my 27th birthday, I'm gonna be reviewing the first episode of Glitch Tex. 5, along with his family, take him to a Hinobi Smash tournament. Mostly the fact that they can sell the food there, but at the same time 5 is part of the tournament. And the other main character, Miko, ditches her family when it comes to activities for her to be part of the tournament at home. And this is where we see 5 recognizing Miko, since that Miko has beat him so many times in any game that they play. Miko is willing to have 5 win the game, but afterwards, something happens that in the beginning of the episode, a glitch was occurring in a video game from someone's household, and it's not a glitch that you're mostly familiar with. I meant a glitch that comes out of the video game and harms the family. And this is where Mitch Williams stops the glitch, all the while erasing everyone's memory. He did the same thing after the tournament by erasing everyone's memory, but not Miko, since she is so into video games that her mind is accustomed to that. So she can't be able to have her memory being erased. This leads to Miko teaming up with 5, despite 5's memory being erased, in order to figure out some answers on the situation. Truth be told, I was really familiar with the fact that this show is going to be centering around video games. But at the same time, the element of surprise when it comes to the glitch aspect of the show, it makes sense onto why Mitch Williams would erase anyone else's minds when it comes to video games. Because truth be told, just by seeing how video games function in this episode, it almost gave me the impression that video games are prevented. But considering that Miko played a guitar game that didn't have any glitches whatsoever, I'm going to assume that there are some aspects that I'm gonna have to experience upon watching more episodes from this show. So, getting into the glitch aspect of this show, from what I've experienced, erasing people's memories when it comes to preventing any situation that happened is somewhat similar to Code Yoko. Well, even though that it doesn't erase people's memories, it does go back to the day to prevent anything that happens through the majority of the episode. Granted, this is a lot more different when it comes to erasing people's memories, but at the same time, if they go through anything when it comes to Code Yoka scenarios, if they never go back to the past or have their memories erased, they will never have any enjoyment when it comes to video games or play video games ever again. And I would probably say for a fact that the entire environment in this show will probably be in panic mode 24/7. So Mitch Williams doing his goal to erase everyone else's memory is really accurate. And the fact that Miko is the only character who doesn't get her memory erased. I totally understand why people are so into this character, and with her being the main lead of this show. And the fact that she is the reason why she and 5 are part of glitch techs in order to stop more glitches. Granted, I'm familiar with her when it comes to artwork before watching this show, but at the same time, I did see clips of her on YouTube. So, even though I didn't remember those clips completely, and watching this blindly made me see the type of character that she is, but I'm still familiar with her before watching this episode. And I gotta say, she's like Rainbow Dash, except she's into video games. And granted, Rainbow Dash is into video games, but at the same time, she's not an expert when it comes to video games. She is athletic. And Miko is athletic, but only in video games. When it comes to 5, I have to admit that him not remembering anything when it comes to his memory game waste is a showcase that he's a different character compared to Miko, even though that he's also into video games. But since that he has this rivalry against Miko when it comes to video games, where Miko beats him so many times to the point that he can't be able to beat Miko, it really feels like that he's supposed to be ordinary compared to Miko, despite helping out his grandparents when it comes to selling food from their truck. The fact that 5's life is a lot more different compared to Miko, where he has multiple jobs in order to make everyone happy, including himself, really shows that despite Miko not having the ability to have her memory be erased, I would still see an ability that 5 has compared to Miko. But at the same time, that's still debatable of what's yet to come once I watch more of this show. As for the animation, it's honestly a shame that when Nickelodeon isn't being a corporate company, which is rarely, they still manage to make good animation since they actually make this show and not a company who made the show itself. And since that the 2 shows that are well known when it comes to Nicktoons nowadays, SpongeBob, The Loud House, the 2 Nicktoons that we've seen 2 different animation styles, and despite with other Nicktoons airing from time to time that don't get attention, their animation gets overshadowed. And for me personally, this animation is honestly really good than any of those Nicktoon animations. It's not a fact, but it's still an opinion. While I still enjoy the character designs from the Loud House, I have to admit that the character designs in this is really impressive, and it really shows how different this show is compared to that and other Nicktoons. And despite this being a Netflix series, this is still a Nicktoon at the end of the day, and the fact that it still didn't get any attention whatsoever really shows that even when people from Nickelodeon make this rather than other companies, then it made me see that the in-house department when it comes to this show just isn't really gaining any attention whatsoever. But that's also applied to other networks who make the shows in their own house and they still don't get any attention. Granted, I'm fully aware that Nicktoons, when it comes to how they are made, are supposed to be different in their own way, and through the majority of Nicktoons nowadays, it's all taking place in-house in Nickelodeon Studios or animation studios. This show either got released at bad timing when it comes to COVID happening weeks later, or it was released at bad timing because this is the beginning of the 2020s, and for how animation was treated in this decade, I really feel bad for the people who made this show and also animated this show, because the fact that Nickelodeon employees made this, and even though they still do deserve respect when it comes to animating other Nicktoons, this really feels like a passion project that is still being overlooked by executives. And with this show having action sequences with Mika and Five using the glitch technology in order to face off the glitches in front of them, honestly, I really enjoyed this, but at the same time, it still didn't get the attention from the executives. People may enjoy these all they want, but at the same time, no matter how much you scream out how much you love this show, especially with scenes like this, it still won't be enough to keep the show going. This show probably trended on Netflix when it was airing earlier this decade, but at the same time, Infinity Train was trending on HBO Max in the same year, and it still didn't get the attention to keep going. I'm just gonna say this right now, just because I'm into this show now, and the fact that my expectations aren't as what you expect, I'm not new to this. Despite today being my 27th birthday, and this isn't really much of a birthday celebration, do I really need to celebrate my birthday with something spectacular, or is it better off reviewing something for the next several weeks or so, since that I'm on hiatus throughout the entire year? Granted, I'm not really on hiatus since I still put out videos, but at the same time, expressing this on my birthday is honestly the best way to celebrate my birthday in some way, but at the same time, despite being a fanboy, I don't act too much as a fanboy, but there is more to reasons onto why I keep the fanboy in my Lonely Fanboy 48 username, even after almost 9 years. Not because I can't think of a better username, but it's mainly the fact that I still have some enjoyment when it comes to watching shows like this. It's just rare when it comes. Honestly, it's gonna take a miracle for me to say something really positive about a show without anything happening with the show itself. But at the same time, with this show being half a decade old, it's honestly better to look at this show on its own without thinking about what's happening behind the scenes, which, if I'm going to review another episode from this show, I am gonna try to keep what's happening outside of the show far away from it as possible, but it would still be unlikely. So yeah, that's my point of view and perspective on glitch text and this first episode. This is the most underrated that I've seen when it comes to Nickelodeon, but that's not saying much considering the type of company it is. But I've been focusing on the fan bases from those shows when it comes to toxicity, among other things, that focusing on them will have to be another time, and doing that now is not something to celebrate on a birthday, especially turning 27. I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10. Wish me a happy 27th birthday.